Tonight, 2016 Green Party candidate Jill Stein says that she will not hand over certain documents relating to her campaign's conversations with, quote, Russian persons, despite a request for all of the documents from the same Senate Intel Committee that is doing the entire Russia investigation. She is here exclusively to explain why in moments. But first, Trace Gallagher in our West Coast newsroom with the backstory. Hi, Trace.
Hi, Martha. The Senate Intel Committee is asking Jill Stein for documents in 6 different categories pertaining to the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Stein has submitted material related to 4 of those categories, including information about her 2015 trip to Moscow, where she was photographed with Vladimir Putin and future National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. The Intel Committee also wanted communications between the Stein campaign and former British spy Christopher Steele, who authored the Steele dossier, which is filled with salacious but unverified information about Donald Trump's ties to the Kremlin. Stein's lawyer says they have no documents related to Steele. But Stein is refusing to hand over documents involving her communications with Russian persons or communications related to her campaign's policy discussions about Russia. She told CNN it's not like she's protecting some, quote, golden goose. Watch.
We're standing up on a principle, and that is the principle that's part of the First Amendment, our right to basically freedom of association, and that, that needs to be protected.
But critics point out this is the same woman who, in December of 2016, pushed for vote recounts in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and protested in front of Trump Tower, accusing the president-elect of obstructing the legal process to ensure we have a voting system we can trust. Watch again.
Here today to stand up for exactly that, for a vote that is accurate, secure, and fair and just, in which every vote counts and every vote is counted. This, in fact, is what makes America great.
Trump called the recount a Jill Stein scam to raise money, and she did raise a reported $7 million. Fox News has reported that $1 million of that went to consultants, staff, and administrative costs. Jill Stein claims every dollar went toward costs associated with the recounts. Martha.
Trace, thank you very much. So joining me now exclusively, Jill Stein, former Green Party presidential candidate. Jill, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight.
Great to be with you, Martha.
So I guess the first question is, in this era where we're investigating everything Russia, you've said you've turned over 4 of the categories that they asked you for. Why not be fully transparent and hand over everything that you have if you have nothing to fear?
Right. So remember, we're not using the Fifth Amendment here. The Fifth, when you take the Fifth, it's because you have something that could be used to incriminate you, something that exposes guilt. There's none of that here. We're turning over everything relevant to the question of Russian interference. That is, all communications with Russian government, Russian media, Russian business, although we had no communications with Russian business, with opposition research and Fusion GPS and all that, and WikiLeaks, no communications there whatsoever.
So what are you not turning over?
So the only thing we're not turning over is what the Constitution says the government should never ask of us. So our founders were very smart, and they set up some amendments, that is, our civil liberties, and they said government cannot intrude. So
are these personal? Are they friends of yours? So is it, personal emails with Russians? That,
So what I'm saying, you might have been born in Russia, and I might not know it. So the point we're making is that there's no way to know who has Russian background. And furthermore, it was like, you don't want to get into a situation like before the Second World War, when we threw everybody of Japanese background for being, we don't want to criminalize a class of people.
I know your attorney has said that the request was undefined and overbroad, which I think are words that the people who are under investigation on the Trump side would be very sympathetic to. I think they feel very much the same way. And you saw the picture. You were at that RT dinner with Michael Flynn and Vladimir Putin. He got, embroiled in this investigation, in part because he went over there and he was paid to be part of that dinner. So you were not paid?
He was paid. No, and you know, I was offered to have my expenses covered, and we said no. We didn't want anything that would create obligations.
And so you said, I'm just rushing because you said that it was a nothing dinner, that Michael Flynn and Putin exchanged like 4 words the whole time, right? Are you surprised that he is under so much scrutiny for what appear to be these passing meetings that you witnessed? Does it amaze you that he is still waiting to be sentenced?
So certainly there was nothing that happened that I was witness to at the dinner table. There was no conversation between the Russians and those who didn't speak Russian. The Russians only spoke Russian, and nobody was even introduced, so nobody knew who anybody was, at least I didn't. So, you know, there was nothing incriminating there, but on the other hand, you know, I think Michael Flynn was paid, but then he was also paid a whole lot more from Turkey and was acting as a lobbyist and disguised that fact. So, you know, there's a whole other set of circumstances, but certainly from what I was able to witness, it was a nothing burger dinner. Absolutely. I was there for a conference.
He says the whole thing was a nothing burger. He says as an incoming official to a new administration, he had every right to have a discussion with the ambassador about the future of the countries. And you sounds like you agree. Jill, thank you. I got to run.
That's
thank you.
Yes.
Quick break. We'll be right back.